Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. Today we are starting with one of the absolute biggest themes of the year, and that is, of course, the AI chip shortage. This has shown up everywhere. It's impacted what companies like OpenAI have been able to release. They went into this year thinking they were going to be able to roll out multimodal features, for example, but that, among other things, has been cut off by lack of access to compute. Now, of course, on the flip side, the lack of access to compute has meant that the companies who can actually deliver it have done extraordinarily well. NVIDIA, for example, is up 160% on the year as just the most easy example of this. But because there is such a clear shortage here, everyone is always interested when there are inklings of meaningful efforts to attempt to come at that in different ways. Over the last 24 hours or so, there has been a fair bit of chatter around this reporting from The Information discussing what they call a mysterious AI data center startup hiring from AWS, Azure, and Meta. The Information sets up the dynamics of the industry right now, saying the cloud incumbents, including Microsoft and Google, are selling or developing their own AI server chips to compete with NVIDIA's graphics processing units, or GPUs, so NVIDIA is eager to prop up competition and flex its new king-making abilities by giving its latest GPU, the H100, to cloud server startups such as CoreWeave, Lambda Labs, and Crusoe Energy. They go on. Seemingly every day we hear about new companies that want to join the list to get into the GPU server rental bonanza. But then this is where it gets really interesting. We're also hearing a lot about a stealth GPU server rental startup that plans to operate among other places in the Middle East, where power is plentiful and can be relatively inexpensive. Sources tell us several well-known cloud computing and data center veterans have joined the startup. Sean Boyle, who served as chief financial officer of AWS until 2020, Kushagra Vaid, a former Microsoft vice president and distinguished engineer who worked on its Azure server business until 2021, and T.S. Khurana, Meta Platforms vice president of infrastructure until last month. One person who was recruited by the startup said the company told them it has backing from a Kuwaiti royal family member and hopes such a connection will help it secure cheap power to run its data center servers. This person wasn't told the company's name, but according to one of Boyle's online profiles, the name appears to be Omniva. Now from there, The Information tries to suss out what it can. They say that the company might be trying to develop their own server cooling technique to handle those advanced chips, basing that off of job postings they've seen. They'd also discuss why the Middle East is such a hotbed for this type of activity and how the UAE has tried to become a significant player in the race to develop these new LLMs. And where they land is this. The race among startups to win NVIDIA's heart and H100 chips is only beginning, and expect to see a lot more action involving GPUs in the Middle East. Next up today, the antagonists from other areas of big tech in the government are bringing their antagonism to AI as well. SEC Chair Gary Gensler is getting more and more vocal about his opinions on AI, taking a break from his crypto killing schedule, with the latest that the SEC is proposing new rules around how Wall Street firms can use AI or not to attract clients. Basically, there's a line of thinking that suggests that the meme stock movement was all about online brokers and robo-advisors using, quote, game-like features to drive user behavior. A lot of reasonable people can disagree on whether or not that's true, but Gensler and his SEC are making their feelings clear. Now, if Gensler has been the main opponent of the crypto set, when it comes to big tech in general for this White House, that role has been played by FTC Chair Lina Khan. Khan told CBS News, quote, "We are seeing risks that AI could be used to turbocharge fraud and scams. We are also looking to be vigilant that we don't see anti-competitive practices or unfair methods of competition, where some of the larger firms that have an advantage in this market are not using that power to squash competition." Now, ultimately, these issues, both those brought up by Khan and by Gensler, are important when it comes to AI. The question is just whether these particular voices around these issues are a little too political to actually make good progress on them. Reuters is reporting that revenue from Meta's Reels feature is, as they put it, narrowing in on TikTok boosted by AI. The piece begins, Reels, Meta Platform's answer to viral short-form video app TikTok, elicited eye rolls when it launched in 2020 and was regarded as yet another example of Meta copying a popular rival. But on Wednesday, Meta revealed numbers that show Reels videos are growing rapidly among both users and advertisers and are quickly catching up to the ByteDance own TikTok app that is beloved by young users and has reshaped the social media landscape. The article says that the number of Reels that are played on Facebook and Instagram has jumped from 140 billion last fall to 200 billion per day now. Alongside that, the annual revenue run rate has jumped to 10 billion, up from 3 billion last fall. That puts it right around the size of TikTok's business last year, and just a little behind forecasts of TikTok's revenue this year, which analysts estimate to be a little above 13 billion. As Reuters puts it, though Meta has invested in artificial intelligence for years, it is now moving to the forefront of its business to improve content recommendation and ads across the company's services. We were promised flying cars. We got better targeted content recommendations. Lastly, a fun little one from the art world. Some art experts are claiming that AI has proven conclusively that a controversial painting is in fact the work of old master Raphael. The De Bresse Tondo is a piece whose provenance has been in question for the last 40 years since it was purchased at auction. Earlier this year, researchers at the University of Nottingham and Bradford said that an AI-powered facial recognition model suggested that there was a 97% similarity between the Virgin Mary that was depicted in this disputed painting and a painting that was a confirmed Raphael called the Sistine Madonna. That AI tool also said there's an 86% similarity between the child and the altarpiece's Jesus. Hassan Ugail, the professor of visual computing at the University of Bradford who developed the model, said basically that the art world has been entirely unscientific. He said, "It has been quite a learning curve to understand the art world and how little they use scientific evidence. The model, which he developed, uses, quote, dimensions the human eye can't see." Rudolf Hiller von Gertrugen, an art historian at the University of Leipzig who wrote a book about Raphael, said that he doesn't think that the painter would have copied himself effectively. That at the height of his career, he preferred to vary his subjects, meaning it's much more likely a later reproduction or imitation. An Italian Renaissance expert at the University of New Hampshire, Patricia Emerson, said much the same. To repaint the Madonna and child motif that one sees in the Sistine Madonna altarpiece is beneath his artistic dignity. He's not just looking for the extra buck. Beyond just being skeptical of this diagnosis, they are skeptical of AI models in general. One expert said, "If you're deeply immersed in an artist's work, you've read everything about them, you've been to all the museums all over the world to see originals, you've been to gallery exhibition, maybe you've owned a few or bought and sold them. I don't think that sort of thing can be taught. But whether it can be taught or not, the stakes are certainly high. The experts quoted in the piece estimate that a new old master painting being rediscovered could fetch 9 figures at auction. And so the $100 million question remains. Is this a real Raphael? I guess we're going to need GPT-5 for that." If you're enjoying the AI Breakdown Brief, please subscribe to it wherever you best consume content, and I'll be back soon with the main AI Breakdown.